All right, welcome everybody back to the show. Tonight we're talking about Mike Gundy being fired at Oklahoma State. But first, I don't think it would be a proper starting to the show without thanking Coach Mike Gundy for his 21 years at Oklahoma State. It was 21 years, right?
21. That's what it was. That's what I've seen.
And he started off his playing career as a quarterback at Oklahoma State from 1986 to 1989. And just dedicated his whole life to Oklahoma State. Had a career coaching record of 170 wins, 90 losses, 12-6 in bowl games, one Big 12 championship, one Big 12 South Division championship 2010, three-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. And, I mean, the accolades are all there for somebody that's been here in college football for 21 years.
Yeah, amazing career at Oklahoma State. I mean, you can't start this entire video and podcast that we're doing here without thanking Mike Gundy, what he brought to Oklahoma State. And there's not enough thanks to give. I mean, the guy brought our program up. What it was before he got there was pretty much a disaster. I don't think we had many winning seasons prior to him coming there. And the fact that he came there and did what he did, was a consistent winner, 10-win seasons, got us to bowl games, got us to big bowl games. And we'll get to it later, but getting screwed that one year for the talent they had. We all know about it, the SEC matchup, Bama and LSU. That team was loaded, should have been playing for a national championship. So
Yeah,
he's had some really good teams. He's taken guys to the NFL. But the number one thing that I appreciate about Mike Gundy is how loyal he was to Oklahoma State. Not all the winning he did and not turning around the program, is the loyalty. He was the definition of Oklahoma State and all the loyalty that he provided to the fans, to his players, and to the community. So big shout out to Mike Gundy for everything he did. Unfortunately, it did not end the way we all wanted it to, but amazing career with us, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah, Coach Gundy put Oklahoma State on the map. You know, he came in, had one losing season when he came in 2005. He came in after Les Miles, who went on to do great things at LSU. But Coach Gundy really put Oklahoma State on the map. And as a fan, as somebody, as an alum who went to the university, Oklahoma State, you could say that those were glory days when we were there. So it was fun to see exciting football. And he really elevated that to where he got fired, the other day, because the brand that was out there isn't the brand of Oklahoma State football that was made by him.
Yeah, I mean, that's number one right there. How many people know about Oklahoma State if Mike Gundy doesn't come here and do what he did to put us on the map? One thing that stands out to me is a couple years ago when we played in the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame, we had that big win. He said, yeah, Oklahoma State's got a logo too. We're not just some random team in the Big 12. We're not just some other school in Oklahoma. We're a good program. We're going to be consistent. We're going to show up every year for the most part. And, unfortunately, we haven't done that the last 2 years, but he's made it that where we have a map, people know who Oklahoma State is. It's not just another school. So,
right.
Yeah,
just shame that comes to this. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. But every interaction I've had with Mike Gundy, I've met him a few times on campus walking around. You and I have met him a few times. He's been very personable to all the fans, all the students. Always been very personable, to the media. He's like a media sensation. He's what the media wants because he's very upfront, sometimes a little bit too upfront. But at the end of the day, there should be a statue built for him. There should be the field should be renamed in his name, because for him to go out the way he went out, it's kind of sad. Being an Oklahoma State fan, it's kind of sad that he didn't get his kind of final hurrah, so to say. But when you put the expectation to be a national title contender, you put the expectation to be at top of the conference year in and year out, there really is. You start to get a little bit of scrutiny, and I don't think he enjoyed that as much, towards the end of the years here, where, NIL started to come into focus and paying players more for the talent and getting those 4 or 5 stars. I don't think he liked that scrutiny as much. And, some of those quotes they made with the media, he probably wishes he had back. But at the end of the day, this is just a thank you to Mike Gundy for what he did for Oklahoma State. Hopefully the next person that comes in here, makes it even better, because that's what you want. You want to leave it better than what you had it, and I think he did that.
Yeah, couldn't say it better. Wish him all the best. Hopefully he has success wherever else he goes here, whether it's in TV. I've heard that there's rumors that he could be on TV as an analyst or something, or like a pregame, postgame guy. If not that, maybe he's going to coach again. Maybe he still has something to prove out there. So
that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think there's a possibility that he coaches again?
I do. Do I think it's going to happen like right away? I don't know. It depends. Maybe he wants to take a year off. Maybe he wants to see what's kind of out there. And if and here's the other thing. I think he will, but I would not be shocked if he didn't because of how much college football has changed. And we'll get to that later on. I know we have a segment about it, but how much college football has changed, I think could maybe steer him to not want to coach again and just say, heck with it. I don't want to be out here doing this. This is not what I'm used to. So, but yeah, if I had to say whether each way, I would say yes. I believe he's going to be coaching again at some point. Do you want my bold prediction on where I think he's going? I've already told you, but do you want me to put it out there?
Let's see. We're going to talk about it later. Yeah, we're going to talk about it later. So
okay, I'll wait.
You get to watch for the rest to see where his bold prediction of where Coach Gundy will end up. So without further ado, let's keep moving along here. And let's kind of talk a little bit about the top 10 games in Oklahoma State during the Gundy era, Lexi, if you want to kind of share some of the top 10 games and maybe one of your favorite games that, you're either participated in, watched from the stands, or just what do you want to share?
Yeah, one of my favorite, I already kind of mentioned it, but that Notre Dame game when we played them in the Fiesta Bowl, that was like awesome. Like from start to finish, it was just an awesome game. It was, like
the first half.
Yeah, one of the highlight of the games. Like I think we were the only game playing at that time because it was a New Year's Six Bowl. So spotlight was on us, and we were getting crushed in the first. It's like, geez, are we really doing that bad? And then we came back in the second half, ended up winning the game. Really cool, awesome game to win against a big time program like Notre Dame. That one definitely stands out to me. And that was, of course, when he went out there and said, yeah, Oklahoma State's got a logo too. Put some respect on our name. So loved that game. That was one of my favorites in the Gundy era. Absolutely.
Awesome. I think one of my favorites in the Gundy era have to do both around the Bedlam games. All of them around the Bedlam games, actually. And the first one was when you and I were watching the game. We decided maybe we should stay home because it was raining that day in Oklahoma. Oklahoma State was playing at OU in Norman. I'm like, let's go. Tickets are like $20. One of the worst decisions I ever made in my life. We didn't go. And that's the famous game where Tyreek Hill returned the touchdown when Bob Stoops wanted to punt it again. So that was an amazing game because that year we were outmatched again, but we still found a way to win in overtime. At OU. Tyreek Hill returns an iconic punt. 1 week later, kicked off the team. A lot of people don't know that Tyreek Hill played for Oklahoma State for 1 year, and that was one of the most elite players I've ever seen on the gridiron out there. That season he played in Stillwater, so that was really cool. The other game that we lost was an amazing game, back and forth. That was OU versus Oklahoma State when Baker Mayfield was there. And it was just up and down, exciting football. Whether we win or lose, to have that kind of competitive nature and scoring points. I wish we had a better defense that year, but the up and down kind of back and forth was amazing to watch.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those games that you could go back and watch. And even though we lost, that was just from start to finish. It was an awesome game to see, especially in person. We were at that game, so that was pretty cool.
And if you're any kind of offensive guru and you like to watch how plays are made, go back and watch that game back and forth.
That was nuts.
It was just like who's going to have the ball last, who's going to make one less mistake, and you got a full clinic right there to watch and drop some plays. So that was two of my favorite games. Let me see, maybe one more. I guess going to the Liberty Bowl and like watching them play in a bowl game, and traveling to different stadiums. I've always liked watching and going to different stadiums. I mean, you went to Baylor last year where we met Gundy again outside the stadium. So that was fun going down to Baylor. Baylor has a great stadium and also really nice fans. They were all very pleasant, very nice. No one was screaming at us. So it was enjoyable to watch the game there.
One of my favorite in person, kind of under the radar, I would say, because it was on the road. It was one of my first road games. It was in Austin for the Texas game. I think it was in 2017 or 18, whatever year it was. It was the year that we went down to Texas and we won in overtime. And it was such an uncharacteristic Big 12 game. It was a bunch of punts. It was like nobody can move the ball. And this is an Oklahoma State defense that was never good. We were good for 1 year in the last 15 years, and it wasn't that year. We went down to Texas, couldn't score, couldn't move the ball. Texas couldn't do the same. We just kept punting back and forth. That's all it was. And then game went to overtime, and it was on my side of the end zone where I was at the game. And they threw a pick. Texas threw a pick, and we won the game because of that. I think we won 13-10. We needed to stop them from scoring a touchdown, or they had to kick a field goal, and they threw a pick. So that was awesome. Went down to Austin to see the Cowboys knock off Texas, and Gundy owned Texas in his career. It's a little under the radar thing to mention there is how much he could beat Texas. Never really had a problem with them.
Oklahoma State had the most wins against Texas.
Yep.
Let's see. School came to play.
Let's see. Let me look up really quick. What was the record?
OU didn't play there, so that doesn't count. So all the schools that went to Texas at Austin, I think he was like 4-2.
Let's see.
4-4 against them, but he won a lot of games there at Texas.
Let's see what his overall record was.
107.
So it says his overall record against Texas is 9-13, but he was really good at the end of his career against Texas. It seemed like we owned them all the time and won quite a bit of games at Texas. So
yep.
That's a cool thing though. But yeah, that was always had us ready for games. It was unfortunate that, some of the bigger games we lost. There's one I can remember, I'll never forget, but we don't have to talk about that one.
Which one?
It was when we were potentially going to the
Big 12 championship game.
No, it was in the Big 12 championship, potentially going to the Final Four. We lost to Baylor in Dallas on the 1 yard line. Oh my gosh, just brutal. I was at that game. I had a long 3-hour drive back home after the game. It was just a sucky day all around. But
you're at a couple, heartbreaking games. You're at the one at Oklahoma State at the beginning of the year. Would they play Western Michigan or?
Oh my gosh, I'll
Central
never forget.
Michigan?
Never will forget. I can still see the play in my head right now. It was against Central Michigan.
Central Michigan.
And we actually should have never given them the ball back, and the officials actually messed up that entire play call. Like, we protested the game after, but of course they couldn't do anything. It was when Gundy called for like a throw it long, and there never should have been another play. We did it to where there was all zeros on the clock, but Central Michigan, or the officials called a play that they had one untimed down before the end of the game. So Central Michigan from half field throws a bomb. It was actually a great play. The guy caught it and then threw it back, and then they scored. It was a great play, but oh my gosh, yeah, that was a terrible memory to have.
And it just goes into my next comment about just some of those, situational game calls. You would always talk about it. Like, we'd always defer to kick. We opened up the game, especially when we had a high-powered offense. We'd always, terrible clock management. So we're going to go into the next segment here. Was what went wrong. And as you start to nitpick and, look at things objectively from, an airplane view looking down, a lot of things did go wrong. And we kind of, as a fan, I am guilty of myself, kind of sugarcoated things or maybe looked over it because you appreciated what Mike Gundy brought to the team, the stability, like you mentioned earlier, and the loyalty to the university, all which are great. You're never going to find somebody that's going to be like that for this long in this era, now that it's changed. But what went wrong? I'm going to go into it first and talk about maybe some of the coaching decisions, some of the hires, some of the mismanagement, in the 2-minute offense in the first half and the second half. Like, what are we doing? Some of the special teams things that went wrong over the course of the year. Like, those little things really made a big deal in the overall win-loss record, during the regular season. And that's where you're like, is he really a good coach? Or is he just a benefit of the good players that are on the team? Because a really good coach that's been there for 20 years should really have a strong arm on how to manage the clock. And there's so many missed opportunities to manage the clock. And you say that as somebody that's watching on the couch from your house or your apartment. But it's like football 101. Yeah. Managing the clock at the end of the year, end of the 2-minute drill. Making sure you're using timeouts, making sure you're not using timeouts. Trying to go for it on 4th and 1 when you're in your opponent's end zone or near the end zone or red zone. Excuse me. Little things like that really got frustrating as a fan here in the last, I would say, 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, we would text about it like. Yeah, you can call people, sitting at home on their couch making plays, but we're fans, we see stuff, we recognize things, and that was one thing I always noticed was he was never really aggressive at the end of a half when we had an opportunity to go score. And oh my gosh, he loved to save timeouts. Like, I always say, if you have timeouts at the end of the half, you're not going to get it back. Especially in football, you don't get a carryover of a timeout. So
especially in the first half,
why would you? That was always mind blowing to me when we would have 3 timeouts with under a minute left, and so we seriously would not use them sometimes. It was just that was a really weird thing to me. That was one of the things I would like to ask him sometimes is like, if I had one question or a couple questions, I'd say, like, why did you, not ever want to take timeouts in certain situations? It seems like, you were holding on to them like you were never going to get them back. I don't know. It just was weird.
Especially in the first half when we could be aggressive and try to score to cut into the lead. Because sometimes we would always defer, I feel like, as well, if we won the toss.
Yeah.
And he would know we'd have the ball. So it was just like we were scared to make a mistake. And I feel like that mentality kind of kept going over and over, game to game. And like once you start having that kind of energy, then the players are scared to make mistakes. And I feel like that became kind of like the culture. He talked about the culture all the time. That kind of became ingrained in some of the players and some of the decision making, from a play calling aspect as well. So let us know down below if you think that you agree with some of the, what went wrong things. I think some of the hiring decisions were kind of weird. Looking back on it, like, yes, you want people that are going to stay there, you want stability. But going after D2, D3 guys, is that really what you want? Like, is it that hard to find a quality coach that wants to come to Stillwater, Oklahoma? Why doesn't Ames, Iowa have any issues at Iowa State? Why doesn't Tuscaloosa, Alabama have any issues going down to Tuscaloosa? I'm not saying Alabama is, everybody wants to work at Alabama, of course, but everyone says, oh, nobody wants to go to Stillwater. Why don't they want to come to Stillwater? Why do they want to go to Ames? Why do they want to go to Eugene, Oregon? Yes, is it the pay increase with some of these salaries at different universities? Yes, but if you look at Iowa State, there's no reason that they should be better than Oklahoma State with all the resources that we have and the brand that Oklahoma State's created.
Yeah, and here's the one thing I was going to mention about the you had literally just said it. I'm blanking on it now. The part about I'm blanking completely right now.
Coaches, decisions, D2, D3?
Yes, the coaches. So he was so set on wanting to keep guys there. Like, oh, I want to bring in a coordinator. He's going to be there for 3 to 4 years. That doesn't happen. Like, look at the big programs. Those guys are there for 1 to 2 years. They're moving on. Like, and honestly, it's a good sign if you get a guy there for a year or two and he leaves. Like, yeah, you hate it in a way, but it means you were good enough that you are now moving on. Like Dana Holgerson, wasn't he a pretty damn good offensive coordinator with us? He went on and was a head coach somewhere. Like that kind of guy. Like you want to bring in guys who will be good. Yes, I get maybe one time you bring in a guy from a D2 or D3, whatever, give him a chance, give him an opportunity. You really like something about him. But you see something after 1 year and you're like, okay, man, this is not the guy, but he's not good enough. So he hangs around for 2-3 years and you're like, this is still not the guy. Well, of course he doesn't want to leave. No one else wants him. So it's those type of things that, yeah, again, like
I think you're talking about Casey Dunn
and Mike Yursich. Mike Yursich, we always said, like, what is this guy doing here? Like there was a lot of hype around him coming in. He had all these good numbers from his previous school. Never was good. And I don't think he's even really relevant right now in college football. I haven't really heard his name much.
I think he was good. I don't think he was great as like people said he was. He was good, but some very questionable calls in like third down situations, in goal line situations where you're throwing the ball, causing turnovers, a lot of really weird play calls for being too creative and just getting too cute, I think would be the word with him. And that kind of, in this kind of coaching standpoint, you got to be some kind of creativity. But some of the decisions where you're throwing the ball, like the one trying to do a reverse and throw it into the back of the end zone and getting picked off, like what do you expect's going to happen?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't totally blame him on the Casey Dunn thing. Like, yeah, some guys are really good at just one thing, and we kind of learned Casey Dunn's just a really good wide receivers coach. He got guys there. He really was good at developing them, and Gundy had I'm assuming Gundy had a great relationship with Casey Dunn and wanted to give him an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator. At some point you work so hard at your job and you give him that opportunity. And I think that's what it was. I don't really blame him for that.
No.
But we learned, he learned and we all learned that, yeah, maybe Casey Dunn just wasn't the right guy. Maybe we didn't have the right personnel. I don't know. But yeah, I don't completely blame him on that kind of thing.
When you put them in that situation, it makes it hard to get rid of them.
Yeah. So
because then you have to make a decision that's affecting people's families. He's a longtime Stillwater guy himself.
Yeah.
When the crowd's coming for you, saying like, "What are we doing?" It puts a little pressure on the head coach. Like if I hired you to be my offensive coordinator, and you had a couple of rough years, what am I going to do? Just fire you? And I think that he didn't have. He kept on to those guys a little long, like you mentioned. So
yep.
Who's the other guy that coached for us on defense that was awful?
Oh my gosh.
One guy with the
Yes.
little goatee.
Yes.
Went to even like Georgia Tech or something and came to us.
Hold on. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can see his face right now.
Yeah, I can see his face.
Hold on. I need to get this. Hold on. Oklahoma State.
That's what got us Jim Knowles, though, is that
Defense
guy.
coordinators.
He came, like, where did he come from?
Good question, but he was there for so long, and man, those defenses were bad with him. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Glenn Spencer. There it was.
Oh my gosh.
Glenn Spencer. That's him. Yep.
What's he doing? What was his story? Talk about him real quick.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm pulling him up. So Glenn Spencer, looks like he currently is at Wake Forest, if this is correct. So he came.
No way. He's coaching right now.
So he was with Oklahoma State for a long time. See, this is another example of a guy who, maybe earned his chance, but maybe kept a little too long. So he was with Oklahoma State starting in 2008 as a D-line coach, then linebackers, then co-defense coordinator and linebackers, then defensive coordinator, linebackers, from 2013 to 2017. So he was with us for what, 9 years? Basically 10 years. I mean, so that's another guy. But hey, you know what? We're going to talk about some of these guys who he brought in and were good or were questionable. I think one of his most home run hit hires was Jim Knowles, like without question. That year we were really good and should have made the college football playoff. Our defense was historically good. Like, it was insane. And it was so crazy to us because we're used to seeing Oklahoma State defenses struggle and not be really good, give up so many points and yards on long, third and long and whatnot. But to see him bring in Jim Knowles and how good he did with us, that was pretty cool. So great hire. We talk about some of the bad things he did, but Jim Knowles was an amazing home run hit hire.
Yep. And Jim Knowles had the best defense in college football for 3 consecutive years, started in Oklahoma State before he went to Ohio State for the 2 following years. So that's a pretty cool stat. Also, Jim Knowles inherited a defense that was all like my age, like 30 years old, because it was that COVID year. So a lot of guys had an extra year of eligibility. So that helps when you have mature players, but also extra guys that, should have graduated by then. So giving them credit where credit's due, but just going back, I mean, there's a little asterisk there. Like when McGuire and Sosa hit the home runs, little steroid usage. I'm not saying that our guys took steroids, but they had a little benefit of an additional year. And anytime you get an additional year in college sports, that's experience. And all those defensive guys had tons of experience and starts. So that's great. Let's move on to the next topic right here. And let us know if you have any other coaches you want us to dig up and talk about, because that was good. Glenn Spencer, I didn't realize he was there that long. I knew he was there for a while, but
long time.
That long.
Yep.
Let's go into NIL. So you've heard a lot of things from the athletic director that we have the resources to be competitive. We've heard from Gundy that we don't have the resources to be competitive or to buy players like other guys, like the whole Oregon situation that happened recently, where he's basically calling them out, saying, you can buy whatever you want based on who your owner is. He's referencing Phil Knight, owner of Nike, who has deep pockets. What are your thoughts on, number one, on those comments, but also, the state of NIL?
I mean, yeah. I first off, I don't think he's wrong. I mean, can Oklahoma State truly compete in money with Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, Bama, et cetera, all the big time programs? No, and a lot of these schools probably can't. So it is a huge, huge disadvantage for a program like Oklahoma State to any of those schools I just mentioned. It's just, that's the nature of where this college football is right now, and NIL
I want to interject real quick. Where do we go from here, though? You're looking at an Oklahoma State team that just lost their coach. There hasn't been 4 games yet played. So that means every player that's on that roster currently at Oklahoma State can enter the transfer portal.
Yeah, and I know.
What happens if every player says, like, screw this, I'm going to the transfer portal?
I know. And that's a scary thing. And you're going to probably see some guys transfer. What I will say is I don't know. There's no perfect way right now because everyone's going to argue, oh, well, what about this and that? Well, we're not going to play arguments here. I think you got to start giving contracts out where they have to be at your school for a minimum of 2 years. Or if you really want to transfer, you got, bring back you got to sit out a year. You know what? If you really want to transfer, then guess what? You're going to sit out a year. And I'm not saying that these coaches shouldn't either. I think if a coach gets out of his contract to find another school, let's say a guy signs a 10-year contract, leaves after 2-3 years, he should have to sit out a year too. How about that? How about a coach and a player? If they really want to get out and they really want to go somewhere, we need to penalize these guys. They're already getting millions of dollars or at least close to millions of dollars for NIL.
That goes back to the whole contract with Mike Gundy. He's making what, $7-8 million a year. You're making that much money. This is a business decision now, and you can't beat Tulsa in your own stadium.
Yeah,
you got to go.
Yeah,
if I'm the athletic director, that's not the kind of product I want out there. And as a fan, we don't want that product out there. But going back to just the NIL situation, like this is a serious and dangerous situation right now for Oklahoma State. You have guys that are coaching who are probably not going to be back next year if there's a new coaching staff. Just think about this. You have all new guys with contract buyouts that are coaching. He hired a whole new staff because of all the feedback he got because of what we just mentioned about guys like Casey Dunn, Glenn Spencer.
Yep.
And the list goes on and on and on about hiring, inside guys, which is great, to keep that culture. But at the same time, if you're not producing wins, then it becomes an issue. And I thought now with this whole situation, like what's going to happen with the team moving forward? Do you think these guys are going to stay around and play? What if you're on the team right now? What's the benefit of you staying and playing right now on a team that's going to be terrible the rest of the year, and you're going to have to burn your eligibility for it and maybe not get paid?
I know I really don't even know what to say. Like we see it all the time. Something starts bad happening. Boom. The immediate thing is I'm going to transfer. I'm going to go find somewhere better. I'm going to find myself a better situation. So
that's more of like what I think Gundy was referring to when he's talking about the resources, all that kind of stuff. And like in this kind of situation, it's going to take like a disaster for college football to kind of wake up. And I think this might be the study. This might be the project that happens because I don't think people are going to stay. I think this is going to get nastier rather earlier than later.
Well, look, I'll throw out a perfect example, and you probably will remember this. I think it was Miami University basketball, Jim Larinaga. If I'm correct, I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this.
Correct. I remember
they made it to the Final Four, had an incredible team. Bunch of guys could have came back. Well, what happened? They all transferred, and he said, "How can I possibly coach if I have this incredible team? They all could have came back. We could have been really good again, and they decided to leave because they wanted to make more money. Like if you're going to leave for that reason, for just because you wanted money and your team was really good and you're in a good situation, what makes you think they're going to stay when you're in a situation like Oklahoma State where the coach leaves, your team sucks? I mean, yeah, there needs to be something out there that they got to clean this up. This is just ridiculous.
That's why college football has become not enjoyable. You have. I think this year we added 30 guys out of the 60 on the roster that just came in June. So 30 of our 60 guys just came this past June. And this is the first year that Coach Gundy said in an interview at the Big 12 Media Days that he paid players on the transfer portal. They have, I think, $7 million allocated to the transfer portal.
Yep.
This is the first year we dished out money. So the past 2 years, we haven't paid anybody on the transfer portal to transfer to Oklahoma State. So we're 2 years behind. We're not paying guys in the transfer portal. His reasoning, and don't quote me on the exact words, that he was distributing all this NIL money to all the players. So everyone was getting kind of a cut versus, and I think he's trying to test things out to see what works best, but he was testing it out. And I think that's not going to work best. You can't give everybody an even distribution. The bigger players, the ones that are the higher stars, they want the money. So it goes back to my question. How do you get a 4 or 5-star guy to come to Oklahoma State now? We were talking about it earlier. Or you were talking about on another podcast I heard you talking about. You made a great point. Out of the 100% of guys that are out in college football, are we going to get 4 or 5-star guys? Or are we going to get those 3-star guys in the state of Oklahoma that just want to come there because they like Oklahoma State?
The only way you're getting a 4 or 5-star guy anymore is for money. There's no other way they're coming to your school. And if you think they're going to come to your school because they think the facilities are beautiful and your school looks pretty, there's no freaking way. The only way they're coming to your school is if you pay them a bag. That's the only way. Why do you think this Michigan quarterback that he committed from wherever he was, I can't remember the school, but Michigan got him because they threw I don't know how much it was, $10 million, probably not that much, but let's just say $10 million. Like, how do you turn that down? You're freaking 18 years old. You got your parents in your ear probably telling you, yeah, take the money. You're not even a freaking professional athlete yet. These people, this is basically what it's become, is this is professional athletes. And this is why I think there needs to be something regarding contracts, or there needs to be some kind of punishment for transferring, because you can play the game. And that's why I think no matter what the situation is, you should have to sit out a year, because then you're going to say, oh, well, what if he got hurt? Or what if the coach left? No, if you want to transfer, you got to sit out a year. Yeah, you're just never going to get a 5-star recruit unless you've got the money. That's the only way they're coming to your school at this point anymore. Like I said, they're not coming because of the school, the facilities, who's coaching there. Absolutely no way. And if it is, it's a very small percentage of guys who are doing that.
So my question is everybody getting paid now? Are there people that are, how can you call them student athletes or not student athletes? Because I heard the athletic director today in the press conference talk about that they're student athletes and there's plenty of resources there. Student athletes, like,
yeah,
you can't call them student athletes anymore in this era of NIL.
No, I don't know. I'm imagining most of them get paid. I'm sure there's some on there who don't, but maybe they get like a better scholarship now that NIL is more there for these students and student athletes.
If you're on a football team across the country in a Power 5 or Power 4 now, excuse me, is there anybody out there that's not getting paid? I know there's opportunities by selling merch and all that kind of stuff. I know different schools that we currently work at that you can do like NIL stuff.
That's a good question.
But yeah, I know that you can use your name and image and likeness for different things, but you can like basically just get a t-shirt and put your name on there and sell it on their website now. That's what I've been seeing as kind of like a way to make income. If you're a good player and like percentages of, different things that you can do, like you can do like social media videos, like at a pizzeria, like so get paid that way, or book signing, all that kind of stuff. So there's different opportunities out there, not just getting paid directly, from the university, but I'd be very interested to see, is there anyone that's not getting, paid, and what does that look like? I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on the NIL, as long as you're comfortable talking about it and you're available to talk about it. I'd love to hear more about that, but dangerous time right here in college football. And I think this is what Mike Gundy has been talking about these last few years, about him not being able to compete with that kind of stuff, because what do? You're going to throw $10 million at a quarterback to come to your school. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, I still want them to pursue somebody. Like, there's so many guys in the transfer portal. I know you talked about that the other day. The guy went from New Mexico to Utah. Why didn't we show any interest in him?
Yeah.
There's been guys over the past few years that have gone to these other mid-major schools like Oregon State. Who's that quarterback from Clemson? He transferred to Oregon State.
DJ Uguayla or something.
Yeah, like guys like that, like some of these big-name guys that started off their careers, at some of the blue bloods or just, some of the higher programs. We've never shown any interest in those kind of guys. Is it culture, like he always, Gundy always talked about, like getting the right guys in, or is it just, being lazy and not going after guys? Like what is it?
Yeah. And that's what I wondered too. Like and he said we were talking about this the other day. He was full of energy still. He kept saying since day one, when he started, he still has that same energy. I don't know, man. I mean, we were getting guys like Justin Blackman and Des Bryant, big name guys. And now it's like, when was the last time we got a true 5-star that you're like, wow, like we're really good. We got this guy. We're excited for him. Like, I don't know. I don't totally agree. I didn't see that same energy from Gundy that I saw from him 20 years ago. And when he was young, he did I'm 40, I'm a man, blah, blah, blah. I don't see that same energy from Gundy.
No, you make a great point, because he says that I have energy. I want to keep coaching. I'm so passionate. I never saw that here in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Even when we had a decent year, 3 years ago, I never saw that the last 3 years. I see him sitting on the sideline with his arms crossed, not really much emotion. A couple of times, getting animated with the referees. He's always very respectful to the fans when he's walking on and off the field. But where's that passion during the game? We were getting inside of a player, like running up to a player, like really talking to him. I never saw that. And I saw that a lot in the press conferences. Like, he's a little bit more, comfortable in the press conferences, I guess, talking about stuff and, making some of these comments, which he shouldn't have made. Like, some of these comments were kind of rough too, especially with the Ollie Gordon thing, when he was, cited for drunk driving, and he said he only had a couple drinks. And, a lot of us have drinks like that and just drive in the car. I'm just like, some of the things you don't want, your head coach at the University at Oklahoma State saying stuff like that, because it goes back to their identity. Everyone can identify Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy, and he's done a great job of doing that. But like some of these comments, he's like, what are you saying? You're the leader at the school. Like, you got to be more like professional.
Yeah.
I think like those little snippets, like especially the one recently where he said, a lot of people are sitting at home trying to draw an unemployment check that are criticizing me. They can't pay their bills. He's referring to the fan base. You can't call out your fan base when you're saying that your quarterback's playing good. You're saying that Flores had a good game. He made some good. No, there's nothing good about that. You got to be more candid about what you're seeing out in the field to get your fans to agree. Like, yeah, that wasn't good today. We need to get better.
Exactly. Yep. Perfect. On the spot.
So let's go into the final thing before we start talking more off the beaten path about stuff like we have been talking about. And if you guys have any comments you want to talk about, please let us know down below. But next, coaches. This is an exciting time in Oklahoma State now, and it's sad, like I said, with Coach Gundy leaving. I hope they do something respectfully for him moving forward. I hope we get to hear his side of the story as well about what really went wrong. But going back to it, you and I made this good point. Should they have fired? I want to ask you this question. Should they have fired him last year at the end of the year when there was all that ruffling that he was fired? There's rumors going on around December that contract negotiation wasn't to where he wanted it. He wanted to stay, but they wanted him to cut some money back. I don't know what the logistics were of the contract. You can put it in the comments. But do you think they should have let him go last year, or they should have let him go like they did this year? It's our time. Like I said, it's really puts a really big damper on the season, but also just on the whole clubhouse.
I'm really confused by this entire situation because last year we had the whole situation where he was going to get maybe fired. Like there was rumors that he was maybe going to be let go, and then they met and they worked out a meeting and basically said, all right, let's give him a chance. It was a disaster year. It's his first terrible year in however many years it was. And they brought him back. To me, that was, okay, let's give him at least a year. If it's not absolutely terrible like last year, then let's reevaluate, or let's at least give him 2 years. He seems to want to get back into this and figure things out. So that's my question to this firing committee, or whoever, the athletic director and the president, whoever made these decisions to fire Gundy right now at this time, is why did you ever even bring him back if there was a possibility that you were going to fire him after week 3? That makes no sense to me. And that's why I think they also deserve some heat here for this whole entire situation. Gundy wasn't doing great. Yeah, we can all say what Gundy was doing wrong, but how about we ask the questions to the AD and the president? What if there was any possibility, I'll say it again, if there's any possibility he was going to get fired after 3 games, then why didn't you just do it last year? Because to me, as a fan, I was like, okay, Gundy's here for next year. Like, no matter how bad it looks for the first couple games, he'll probably be here for the full season.
Yep. There needs to be more transparency coming from the athletic department about what transpired in that conversation about, we offered him to stay throughout the rest of the year, kind of his going away tour, and, fire him then. But, firing a coach, a legendary coach like this is a bad taste in your mouth, because he's always going to be fired and cut ties from the university. When he put his blood, sweat, and tears into this university, it's just like a terrible circumstance that you have to deal with. But I think it was the right move. I think everyone could see it was the right move. But 3 games into the year, and now you have this whole team here. You have to have them stay and all that stuff. You sent me that tweet earlier when I kind of talked about that tweet that you sent me earlier about how he took the guys down in the west end zone.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, he went down and talked to them, and he was able to talk to them yesterday at the end of the day when all this kind of happened, and basically give his last speech or whatever it was. That was cool. I'm glad he got to do that, and I'm glad he did do it. And I think at the end of the day, I think Gundy knows it too. I don't think he has hard feelings. Like, he's probably pretty pissed and sad in ways, but I don't think he knows how much Oklahoma State people still love him.
Yeah,
95%,
$15 million to do nothing.
Exactly. And 95% of the fan base loves him. I'm sure those people, for no matter who you are in this kind of situation, people are going to hate you. But I think majority of people still love him and what he did for the program, and he should know that too. So yeah, it's just it's a crappy situation. But we need some more answers about what was so urgent to fire him. Yeah, we lost to Tulsa. So did you tell him last year in the press at the end of the year, hey, if you don't beat Tulsa next year and you start 1-2, we're getting rid of you? Like, is that what it was? I want to know. I want to know more answers.
Yeah, from some of the reports I've heard and just everything that's going on is behind the scenes has been a nightmare this year. I've watched a couple other podcasts. Some
interesting.
Some of the big media guys have said that they were there Friday, and they said that it's just been a nightmare, and the writing was on the wall Friday. The energy in the stadium was
really
awful, and the fact that they lost, it's basically the nail in the coffin. You had no choice but to get rid of them then.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it happened then, but like I said, going back on it, we should have had this kind of mentality at the end of the year last year.
Yep.
If we didn't win a Big 12 game last year and you let the guy come back.
Yep.
and thinking that it was going to get better by hiring all these new coaches and giving all these guys contracts and potentially getting rid of them this year if that same kind of saga continued.
And that's the thing. That's what I was going to add to before I forget is they had an 0-9 season last year, brought in all these coaches, brought in all these new players. What did you expect them to do? Did you really expect him and this team to start 3-0 off the bat and be looking incredible? Of course not. I didn't expect them to. I knew we were going to be pretty bad.
I couldn't name anybody on the team. I saw the quarterback. He looked good the first game, but that was against University of Tennessee Martin. Like, hopefully everyone on the team looks good week one against a team like that. But yeah, like you said, like, what did you expect them to do after all these new guys, new coordinator, new defensive coordinator?
That's what's really weird to me is they had to know if you and I, the normal fan, are seeing this, and I'm sure a majority of fans are seeing this, like truly nobody should have expected us to be good this year. No one should expect us to start off 3-0. Should we have beat Tulsa? Of course we should have beat Tulsa. We should never lose at home to Tulsa. But to think that we were going to come out here and look like this incredible team, totally revamped, no. I mean, there was going to be some roadblocks. It's just the nature of it when you bring in that many new players and new coaches. So that is weird to me. That means that kind of tells me there was more to it because if they saw this too, the leadership saw this, surely they would give them some grace and to try to figure out after 1 year or two. So yeah, I don't know. Really weird. There had to be more here to it that we're not.
I just want to really have some more transparency about what really happened. I hope we get to hear from Coach Gundy here in the next week. I hope he takes some time off, from coaching. But that goes into my next question, which everyone's been waiting around for the past 40 minutes. Where do you think he's going to coach, and where do you think that prediction may lead?
Yeah, I could see him still coaching. I would have to say my bold prediction, I don't know if it's bold. To me it is, just because who knows what's going to happen. But mine, right off the bat, came to my head, Arkansas Razorbacks. It's close to Oklahoma.
Arkansas.
It's close to Oklahoma. It's a more of a low-key SEC type school. It's not Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, that kind of school. And I don't know. It just feels like a fit for him. And I feel like they have decent amount of NIL money. I mean, they got Calipari there, and Calipari is the basketball coach who has brought in some good recruits since his first year. So I feel like they have a pretty good NIL system there. And who knows, maybe if Gundy has some more money to play with, maybe he's kind of revamped and wants to try to go out there and show, hey, Oklahoma State, it was a great run, but I want to try to go out there and prove that I can still win and be a good coach at this level. And I mean, would he turn down an SEC job at Arkansas if they were throwing some more money at him? I don't think so. So yeah, that's my bold prediction that he goes to Arkansas.
Yeah. I want to see him have one more chance, really, at group of five, and that group of five, keep saying it, Power Four, to really see if he has it in him to take a team like Arkansas and be somewhat competitive. I'm not expecting him to win the SEC,
no,
but taking over for a guy like Sam Pittman, I think Gundy brings a better brand where I think the fans will rally behind, especially at Arkansas. He kind of fits their identity. His son went there, Gundy Child, excuse me. So he has a little bit some ties, to Arkansas and that fan base. And I think they're going to be looking for somebody that's a little bit more established. He can hire some guys that are up and coming in college football now with the SEC brand because you're playing in the top league now. In football, I think everyone can say, like, from top to bottom, SEC is the best conference in football, especially with Texas and Oklahoma going there and leaving the Big 12. And that's what it's all boiling down to now, going back to the NIL stuff, is these TV brands. And I feel like I've been telling you for years, I'm going to say, the TV brands and the conference rebranding has ruined college football.
Oh, 100%.
College football is all about being geographic, close to where you're playing. You get to go have those rivalries. Now it's like, do I really want to hop on a flight and go to Arizona just to watch Oklahoma State play, or do I want to drive down to Baylor, which is a more manageable trip from OKC to Waco? And it's kind of just ruined that flair for college football, and it's changed so much. Oregon and UCLA shouldn't be in the Big Ten. USC shouldn't be in the Big Ten. Is UCLA in the Big Ten? I forgot.
Yep. Yeah. UCLA, USC, Oregon.
All these teams are in the Big Ten.
Washington.
It's just like, what are we doing with our traditions? Like the Yankees playing against the Pirates in the AL East. How would that sit with all these Yankees fans? How would that sit with these Pittsburgh fans? Like the Cardinals playing against the Padres in the NL Central. Like, is that what you want? Is it because of a TV deal? Because more people watch the Padres in the West Coast?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing in college sports? Why are we tweaking with it? Why are we changing it? I feel like every college football fan, regardless if you're good or bad, that these conference realignments aren't good for college football from top to bottom.
It's ruined a lot. I mean, you see it. You see these schools Yeah, that don't belong in the Big 12. I'm sorry, the Big 10. I mean, there's probably some Big 12 schools too who you kind of look at and you're like, are they really like Arizona State in the Big 12 now? It's kind of a weird feel. Arizona's in the Big 12
Central
now.
Florida versus Arizona State
Central
is a Big 12
Florida,
game.
exactly.
It's
Isn't that
a Big
weird?
12 game.
So weird. Like it's not the old Big 12. I'm old school. I missed the old Big 12. Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, all that.
Missouri,
perfect, fun Big 12 school. But yeah, that's all been banished, and it's just not the same. Doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel like there's any loyalty anymore to college sports, and that's what's sad about it, especially with these guys who just transfer 1 year after another. I mean, these guys can go to 4 schools in 4 years. That's a joke. And I know I'm saying it right now. I would not transfer to 4 schools in 4 years. I'm going to stick it out at one school because I committed there. That was my commitment to go to that school. That's where I'm going to go. I'm not going to go, oh, Central Florida wants me. They're going to pay me $3 million. No, screw it. Whatever. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean that's how college football's changed. And Lane Kiffin was on a show recently with somebody on a podcast. I forgot his name. He's a popular podcaster. The guy with the weird hair. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
can't think of his name right now. I call him I think he's something of the Rat.
Yeah,
he's
I know
a Rat
guy about.
Too. But he was talking about to Lane Kiffin about do you even try to recruit guys anymore? Or what do they do when they come to your office? The first thing they ask me is how much can you give me? Because Tennessee's giving me this. Arkansas has offered me this.
Exactly. It's
what do you do?
Go.
How do you compete like that in today's world? And I think going back, you said it needs to be a contract. There needs to be some kind of cap as well. There needs to be some kind of cap if you're going to be in a group of 4. There needs to be some kind of regulations, a cap. Especially for the coaches, because NFL, you can't do this in the NFL to sit out a year and go transfer. Like, what is this?
No, I know. It's
How
ridiculous.
stupid would that be if half your team is transferred? The Tennessee Titans said we're in the transfer portal.
Exactly. And that's why I think we need contracts. These guys are basically professional athletes, amateur athletes as professionals. And let's say the Titans, let's say they're 0-10 right now in the NFL season. And they're like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go try to play for somebody else. No, that doesn't happen because you got contracts and you got all that. You're tied up. You have a 5-year contract. You're not leaving until you're traded or your contract's up. So there needs to be something, some kind of regulation to prevent all this transferring. And of course, there needs to be some kind of cap for these schools too. You shouldn't be able to, Ohio State shouldn't be out there and being able to bring in all these guys because they have this many.
I think it's just better for college football in general. Like, why do you want to pay a quarterback $20 million that's an amateur athlete when you can say, like, this is how much money you have for a quarterback? They should do like that. You have up to $10 million for the offense, $10 million for the defense. There you go. You can't sign anybody over $20 million. If you want to pay guys out of pocket and do that thing, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Everybody should have the same kind of money to pay players. It shouldn't be just because you have a rich guy at your school, Phil Knight, or Boone Pickens, giving out money. Like, that's how you want to develop and build a college football team, because you can buy players.
And that's my thing too, is if Oklahoma State had this kind of money like Ohio State does, I would still be saying the same thing right now. Like, it'd be awesome. We'd be getting all these recruits and all these guys, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not fun. Like,
no.
You want to see other teams be able to compete, West Virginia, Kansas, all these other smaller schools, smaller D1 schools for football that you want to see do better compared to like Alabama, Georgia.
You just want to see guys that are happy to be at the school. That's what I want to see. I want to see guys that want to be there for 4 years.
Yeah.
And from year to year, like, oh, this guy's coming back. He had a good first year. He had a good sophomore year. Like, I'm excited to see him play now that James Washington's gone.
Yeah.
That's what you don't see anymore in college football. Now you're just like seeing guys like, I couldn't even name a guy last year on our basketball team. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, that was a whole new team too. And
Bryce Thompson was there, but going to that, like, I couldn't name a guy.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about basketball later, but going on to our last question of the night before we end things here, we're getting close on time. Next coaches. So we have a laundry list of coaches here. I'm going to name a few, and I'll let you kind of comment on there after I name a few. So Zach Robinson's been the hot name, Falcons coordinator. Ben Arbuckle from Oklahoma, he's been the offensive coordinator there. He lives right down the street. You could probably commute just like you used to, back and forth from OKC when you used to work at Stillwater or up in Oklahoma State. We have Texas State head coach G.J. Kinney. He's been on the hot seat of coaches in the carousel. Those are the three like top ones that I've really heard like some steam. And here's my fun list right here that I've kind of created, and I'm going to give you a reason. But out of those three, who do you like, and what do you think?
I mean, I don't really love any of them, to be honest. I don't love Zach Robinson. I know there's ties to Oklahoma State, but are we really that gung-ho on hiring him just because he went to Oklahoma State? I mean,
right.
I get it. He's got some football experience in terms of coaching. He's the OC for Atlanta. Not to mention they just got shut out against the Carolina Panthers. So I don't know how appealing that is. I don't know. That just doesn't really ring a bell to me. He's never done college recruiting. Like it's gonna be a totally new game for him, man. Like he's like I said, he's got the experience coaching, but college, NFL to college, and then doing recruiting and NIL, it's a whole new animal, man. So a little concerning.
I agree with your same points. I feel like we're putting way too much pressure on the school to hire Zach Robinson.
So yeah, I don't really love that one. I don't mind the Arbuckle one. I think he is kind of proving that he's a pretty good name out there. I mean, he's looking good so far in his short career at Oklahoma. He's had some good offensive years at other schools, Washington State. Young, 30 years old, so I'm sure he's got some experience in the game with recruiting and such. And then who was the other guy you mentioned?
The last guy I mentioned on the list is the Texas State coach. Yeah, GJ Kenny.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him. Looks like he's 36, so younger guy. I think that's what we need to do. We need to hire somebody young, someone who has experience coaching college and who has familiarity with the NIL game, because that's what it's going to come down to. Yes, we need a good coach, somebody who's going to be good in game and just all around for the program good. But you also need somebody who knows how to work NIL and how to get guys to your school, because that's the number one thing at this point is being able to recruit and bring guys in. Outside of that, I don't know what else to say, but I think I'm not as high on Zach Robinson as a lot of these Oklahoma State people are.
No, I agree.
And I'm a little concerned if he is to take over that it might take a little bit longer to get going with him, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I think they should open up the search to anyone across the country. This is a desired job to have. If you're going to like really work your way up in the ranks of college football, you want to be at Oklahoma State because it is a great job to have. Like, I think anyone that's in the college football industry that's an up and coming coach wants to be at Oklahoma State because of, you're in a premier conference. You've had a strong tradition in the last 20 years with Coach Gundy. And you have a lot of resources here with great facilities. That doesn't really matter anymore. Like you said, though, like who cares about your hot tub and who cares about your locker room? Like,
yep.
I want to know how much money I'm making personally and how much my family's going to make if I'm coming there. So that's the whole another dynamic. But let's go into the fun list of guys that we kind of wrote down here. I'm going to go from familiarity to kind of out there. So starting with Dana Holgerson, the casino playing Dana Holgerson, who used to be the offensive coordinator here. There's no chance he comes back, right?
No. If he comes back, I feel like that would be like hiring Gundy in a way again, because like he's kind of his age. I don't know. I don't see it. He didn't do well in his stint with Houston. That seemed like a disaster. So I don't really love the potential of him coming here. No.
Yeah, I agree. Next is Todd Monken. He's the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Thoughts on him? He had a great year. He was here the year we won the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Again, it's going to be
his age.
Exactly. He's older. He's 59, so basically Gundy's age again. Gundy's 58. Looks like, yeah, I don't know. It looks like he was with Georgia, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks from 2020 to 2022, but a lot more experience in. I mean, back in the day, though, that's the thing. Like back in the day, he was more college football. It's a different game now, so I don't know. Does he want to get in the weeds of that? We'll see. I don't love that one either. I think I would like to see something different, but if he's up to the challenge, I'll entertain it.
And we'll skip this one because we already kind of talked about it. Jim Knowles, defensive guy. There's been some ties of him coming back to Oklahoma State, but I don't really see that either.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if like he was I think again, like a lot of these guys are kind of older. I think we just need a young, hungry guy. Jim Knowles is 60 right now. I mean, I'm not saying that's old, but in terms of coaching, like when you have a guy who's 30 to 36 years old, I feel like those guys are a lot more energetic and can go out there and recruit and find guys and maybe relate more to these players. So that's why I'm kind of more on board with an Arbuckle or even that guy from A&M. I think it's the offensive coordinator, Klein.
I know. Calvin Klein.
Calvin Klein. No, it's Colin Klein.
Colin Klein.
Close. Colin Klein. And then I think
is it Zane Flores or is it Zane Flores?
Yeah, right.
Calvin Klein.
And then Will Stein, he's the offensive coordinator with Oregon. So there's some guys out there who are young, hungry, it'd be their first job at a Power 4 conference who want to go out there and make their name for themselves.
Let me tell you why I don't like the Kansas State one, because as soon as the Kansas State coach leaves or they fire him, where's he going?
Yeah.
Kansas State.
Yeah.
How can you hire a guy that played quarterback for one of your in-conference rivals that is going to stay and be loyal?
So
it's just –
you're thinking of – so I know you're thinking of someone else. Colin Klein, he's the A&M offensive coordinator, but he's not the guy from K-State.
Yes, it is. What are you talking about?
Hold on.
He played at K-State, dude. How much money you want to lose?
You sure?
Yeah.
I'm looking up his receiver at Kansas State. My bad. Okay. I was thinking of somebody else. There was somebody else out there. Okay.
No, he played quarterback.
You're right.
Receiver.
I thought it said receiver on here. Regardless, Calvin Klein or whatever his name is.
Calvin Klein. He was there when he played RG20.
You're right. That is always a concern, but
Yeah, so I'll pass on that one if I'm the athletic director. But other guys that are just way out there, but it'd be fun if you're playing a video game. Guys like Nick Saban, can he come back in this era at a school like Oklahoma State, kind of similar to Bill Belichick, and build Oklahoma State into a program? He did it at Alabama.
That'd be really fun.
They had down there. How did he get guys to come to Alabama down there back in the day?
I know.
Were they paying guys? I want to know, how did you recruit guys to come to Tuscaloosa, Alabama? It's no better than Stillwater. Is Tuscaloosa better than Stillwater, or is it the same?
That's the thing. Like, I feel like those kind of guys are just. It has to be something that they have just such great relationship with these boosters, and they just love them so much that they'll throw any kind of money at anybody when they come to him and say, "Hey, I need this, I need that."
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe Gundy lost some big time boosters. I don't know. He didn't. Not to get into it, but it seems like he and Boone Pickens didn't have a great relationship, right? They didn't really get along very well, apparently.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you can't get along with your biggest booster, that's an issue. So you got to have good relationships with these guys if you want to bring in players. So
yeah, they had a rocky relationship the entire time. He kind of came around the team towards the end before he passed away, but
yeah,
I wonder what those conversations were like. I know he built the facilities, built a brand new stadium to get all the best stuff there, but he wanted to play. Gundy wanted to win the right way, and I think Boone Pickens was like, we can pay guys and get them here, under the table kind of way. But I don't know. Interesting comment right there. I'll be interested to hear what the people watching have to say.
Yeah.
So we talked about Saban. My last one. This is a real wild card one, and I'm going to say John Gruden. And why John Gruden, you may say, is because he's with Barstool. He's a Barstool Sports personality. At this point, the next 2-3 years, they're important. You want TV reviews. You want Barstool kind of covering the games and being there. Why not just take a risk with John Gruden and try to see what you can do? Like, it's basically going to be a shit show moving forward.
Yeah.
But why not put someone like there to plug the gap? I mean, that's just a wild scenario. That I was just thinking, like, he's a coach, he can coach, but
it's a wild scenario. But like I told you over the phone, when you brought that name up, I said, never going to happen. And Oklahoma State is just like the St. Louis Cardinals, where they'll never make a hire like that because they're like that type of organization who is
conservative,
traditional, classy. They don't want to bring in noise. They don't like all the noise.
Yeah.
And I don't think they would want that with Gruden.
No, you're right. We're not that kind of school. Names out there. You're definitely 100% right on that. But
no, it's fun. It's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Sorry?
What'd you say?
I just said it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about and throw these names out there. No one knows who they're going to hire as a coach, but it's fun to put these guys in certain situations and scenarios where you could see them, being a coach. But John Gruden did get an Oklahoma State football box where he took off all the merch out of the box and he loved it. So,
oh yeah.
Just throwing it out there. John Gruden, do you still have it in you?
That and 17 other teams.
Yeah. But But that's all I really have for the show for tonight. I know you. One last question before we move on, because we're reaching over in just about an hour here.
Yeah.
Let's make this one quick. But I know you talked about the other night after the Tulsa game that we will win another game the rest of the year. Is that sentiment still true moving forward? We're 1-2 right now. Let me show you the rest of the schedule moving forward.
Look at it.
Where you make your decision. We have Baylor at home, at Arizona, Houston at home, Cincinnati at home, at Texas Tech, K-State at home, at UCF in the bounce house, Iowa State at home. The schedule does not get any easier now that you're moving into Big 12 play. What do you think? Is your prediction still the same? You said yes. You said we win up to 2 games.
I do.
I was kind of surprised by your answer. Is that still the same?
I think we will. Now,
who do we beat?
Well, here, hold on.
I know
that's also if at the time I said it, I didn't think Gundy was getting fired truly after that game. So now that he's been fired, well, let's see how many guys transfer and let's see how many guys actually stick around, because it could get pretty ugly in terms of who's actually out there playing. So that's my one concern. But if we get that quarterback back, Heine, if that's his name, Heine, whatever his name is,
like Flores.
If we get him back, I think he's immensely better than Flores. So I think he could win us a game. I mean, look at some of these teams. K-State's not good this year. K-State's a disaster right now. So I could see us maybe winning that one. It's at home. I could see us maybe winning against Arizona and Houston. Those are like 3 games I could see us winning, but it doesn't look good coming off this firing. Who knows? Maybe we get an inspired team on Saturday. They're a 20-point underdog. You know, sometimes when coaches are fired, it kind of inspires a team to show up and do something the next day. And who knows? Maybe Oklahoma State does something. But yeah, I think we'll win at least one game in the Big 12 this year. I don't think these Big 12 teams aren't SEC teams who are just dominant at every position. Like, these are still, think about it, these are college kids who.
I mean, neither is Tulsa.
Exactly. Did anybody think Tulsa was going to actually beat us? Truly, no. On any given Saturday, any team can win. These are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. John Calipari says it all the time. They're 18. They're only 18.
You know, Tulsa's backup quarterback were playing this past weekend.
That was their backup?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
I'm pretty sure it was their backup.
I just think there's at least some inspiration to not go winless again in the Big 12. So I think they'll find a win. And like I said, no one's going to expect when it's going to happen. You can maybe throw it out there and think it's going to happen at some point. But yeah, I think we'll find a way to win one of these games. Cincinnati, they could win that game against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not good in the Big 12. There's some decently weak teams on the schedule. They'll get trashed to Texas Tech. Texas Tech might beat us by 40. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But no, they can win one of these games. There's going to be a game that they show up and play like the game of their season. And
do we win more than 2?
Nah, I think 2's our max. I'll say 2 max.
Disappointing year, so the ceiling's 3 wins this year again.
I'll say 2 max. I'll say they beat Cincinnati at home, and then I think they'll have one other home game. Maybe K-State, because I think K-State's right behind us in terms of dumpster fires right now. Like I could see guys transferring midseason.
We beat them last year. We upset them last year too on Friday night, right?
No, I think that was 2 years ago.
Okay,
we got crushed by them last year.
That's right. We're at K-State 2 years ago at home. We beat them.
Yep. But no, I could see those would be my 2 circled games that I could see us winning is Cincinnati and maybe Houston. Houston, that's like my other wild card team. So Houston, K-State, and Cincinnati are probably our most likely wins if we even win at all. So we'll see.
That goes back to who stays and who goes.
Exactly. And if we can get the quarterback back, our starter, I think that will at least make us somewhat better on the offensive side than Flores. So
who's behind him? I don't even know.
I don't even want to know.
I mean, it's sad that the two guys left were actually decent, you know.
But where did
back at Flores?
Where'd that other guy go that was there last year? Gabriel? No.
One of them went to Ole Miss.
What was his name?
I don't remember their names. One of them went to Ole Miss.
The quarterback, Gabriel Rangel? Yeah,
Rangel, he was all right. He's definitely better than Flores, though.
Oh, he's at Virginia Tech? Yeah, Virginia Tech right now. Huh, interesting. Is he starting there?
No.
I don't think he is. No. Wow. He's not even starting there. It says 2024 stats. Crazy.
So, but yeah, thanks everyone for listening tonight. Crazy news out of Stillwater and Oklahoma State. So hopefully, moving forward, the team is able to stay together, because what the athletic director did by firing Coach Gundy now didn't help anyone that's currently there as a player.
Yeah.
And I don't blame anyone for transferring, and I hope it doesn't happen, but this could turn into a crazy scenario.
I have some bright news here, Kenny. We are not last place in the Big 12 right now. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams who are 0-1 in Big 12 play. We are 0-0. So enjoy it while it lasts, baby.
And we'll end it on that one, because we'll check back in here in a couple of weeks and we'll see what our record is.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed the show, let us know down below. Smash that like button. Comment down below about some of your favorite things on the show. And should we continue to keep bringing this show to you guys each week in and out, because we have the Oklahoma State knowledge. There's a lot of great Oklahoma State writers, podcasters, all that kind of stuff that's out there. So we just like to bring things from our perspective and talk. So if you enjoyed the show, let us know down below, and hope you have a good rest of your week. Any final thoughts?
Nope, I'm all good. Thanks, guys, for listening. Have a great night, and hopefully Oklahoma State gets back on track and makes the right hire. That's the number one thing. Got to make the right hire. Once we make the right hire, we got to build this program back up to what it was before and win again. There's no excuse that Oklahoma State should not be the top dogs of this conference, especially with Oklahoma and Texas leaving. We should be the top dogs of the conference every year, or at least top 3 of the conference. No excuses. Get the right guy. Turn this program back around to where we belong. Go Pokes.
Spoken like a true athletic director. Let's go. I'm hiring you as an athletic director.
I'm ready. Let's go. Sign me up. I'm ready.
You take a job down there?
I'll start recruiting. Absolutely. Sign me up.
Awesome. All right, guys. Everyone have a good night. Thanks for watching the show.